She shouldn't have looked through that warehouse window. She shouldn't have gasped when the body hit the floor. And she definitely shouldn't have felt her heart race when Korea's most dangerous mafia boss locked eyes with her and smiled like he had just found his next obsession. Now she had 60 seconds to choose: become his wife or become his next victim. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories Saga. Besties, please like, share, and subscribe. The rain came down in sheets that Tuesday night, turning the Seoul industrial district into a maze of shadows and neon reflections. Amara clutched her phone tighter, trying to make sense of the directions her rideshare app was giving her. She had taken a cleaning job at a shipping company warehouse to make extra money, and this was supposed to be her first night. But something felt wrong. The address led her past rusted gates and abandoned loading docks. She should have turned back. But bills didn't pay themselves, and her student visa was running out. So she pushed forward, heels clicking against wet pavement, until she reached a warehouse with dim lights bleeding through grimy windows. Voices echoed from inside. Angry voices. She hesitated, then moved closer to peer through a gap in the door. That was when she saw him. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in black from head to toe. His face was carved from stone, beautiful and terrifying all at once. Dark hair swept back, jaw tight with controlled fury. He stood over a man on his knees, gun pressed against the man's temple. Other men surrounded them, all watching in tense silence. "You stole from me," the man in black said, his voice low and deadly calm. "You thought I wouldn't notice. You thought you were smart enough to betray Kang Min-ho and live." The kneeling man begged, pleaded, promised to return the money. But Kang Min-ho, the name sent ice through Amara's veins, because she knew that name. Everyone in Seoul's underworld knew that name, simply shook his head once. Then he pulled the trigger. The sound cracked through the air. Amara gasped, stumbling backward. Her phone slipped from her hand and clattered against the metal door. The sound echoed like a death knell. Every head in that warehouse turned toward the window, toward her. She ran. Her heels were a mistake. Her skirt was too tight, but pure terror gave her wings. Behind her, she heard shouting. Footsteps. She didn't look back. She couldn't. The rain blinded her as she tore through the industrial maze, lungs burning, heart threatening to explode from her chest. She made it 3 blocks before a black SUV cut her off. She skidded to a stop, turned to run the other direction. But 2 more vehicles blocked her path. Men emerged, moving toward her with mechanical precision. She backed against a wall, chest heaving, makeup running with rain and tears. Then he stepped out of the center vehicle. Kang Min-ho. Up close, he was even more devastating. 6'3" of controlled power, eyes so dark they looked black in the sodium light, features that belonged on a magazine cover, if not for the cold, murderous edge they carried. He walked toward her slowly, like a predator who knew his prey had nowhere left to go. "Please," Amara whispered, hating how her voice broke. "Please, I won't tell anyone. I didn't see anything. I swear." He stopped 2 feet away, studying her with an intensity that made her skin burn despite the cold rain. His gaze traveled from her face down her curves and back up, something flickering in those dark eyes that wasn't quite anger. "You are lying," he said softly. "You saw everything." "I won't tell," she said again, stronger this time. "I'm nobody. I'm just a student. I was looking for a cleaning job. Wrong address, wrong time, please." Something shifted in his expression. He tilted his head slightly, rain dripping from his hair. "What's your name?" "Amara," it came out before she could stop it. "Amara Okafor." "Amara?" He said it slowly, like he was tasting each syllable. Then he smiled, and it was the most dangerous thing she had ever seen. "You are right, you are nobody. Which means nobody will miss you if you disappear tonight." Her knees nearly gave out. One of his men stepped forward. "Boss, should we?" "No." Min-ho raised a hand, still looking at Amara. "I have a better idea." He moved closer, so close she could smell his cologne cutting through the rain, expensive, dark, intoxicating. "You have two choices, Amara Okafor. One, you marry me. You become my wife. You stay by my side, and I guarantee you will never want for anything again. Any problem you have will be taken care of. You will live in luxury." She stared at him, like he had lost his mind. "What?" "Two, I kill you right here, right now, clean, painless. Your body will never be found." His voice was conversational, like he was discussing dinner options. "Choose. That's insane," she breathed. "You can't just. I don't even know you. You just killed someone. You are a criminal. This is. I'm giving you 30 seconds. He checked his watch. A Patek Philippe that probably cost more than her entire education. 29. 28. Panic clawed up her throat. This couldn't be happening. This wasn't real. But the gun at his hip was real. The body in that warehouse was real. The rain soaking through her clothes was real. "Why?" she asked desperately. "Why would you want to marry a complete stranger?" 20 seconds. But his eyes softened just slightly. "Because in the 5 minutes I've known you, you have shown more courage than most men I employ. Because you intrigue me. Because I need a wife for business reasons, and fate just handed me one. Because," he paused, something unreadable crossing his features. "When you looked at me through that window, I felt something I haven't felt in 10 years. I don't know what that means yet. But I'm not letting you go until I find out." 10 seconds. Her mind raced. Marriage or death. A monster or a grave. But as she looked into his eyes, she didn't see a monster. She saw something else, something broken and hungry, and almost desperate beneath all that control. It terrified her more than the gun. 5. "I'll marry you," the words ripped out of her. "I'll marry you." He smiled again, and this time it reached his eyes. Smart girl. He shrugged off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders, the warmth shocking against her frozen skin. "Let's get you out of the rain. We have a wedding to plan." The next 48 hours passed in a blur. Min-ho took her to a penthouse that occupied the entire top floor of one of Seoul's most expensive buildings. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city. Everything was dark marble, leather, and polished steel. Beautiful and cold, just like him. "Your room is the second door on the left," he told her that first night, standing in the massive living room. "You will find everything you need. Tomorrow, my people will take your measurements for a dress. We marry in 3 days." 3 days? She hugged his jacket tighter around herself. "That's not enough time to." "It's plenty of time when you own half the city." He poured himself a whiskey, studying her over the glass. "You should know the rules. 1. You don't leave this building without security. 2. You don't speak to anyone about what you saw or who I am. 3. You wear my ring and play the devoted wife in public. In private, he paused. We'll figure that out as we go. And if I break the rules? Don't. It was simple, final. Then his expression shifted slightly. Are you hungry? The question surprised her. She was starving, but she shook her head anyway. He saw through it immediately. There is food in the kitchen. Help yourself. This is your home now, Amara. Everything in it is yours. That night, alone in a bedroom bigger than her entire apartment, she finally let herself cry. She cried for her freedom, for her ruined plans, for the impossibility of what her life had become. But underneath the fear and grief, something else stirred. When Min-ho had looked at her, really looked at her, she had felt seen in a way she never had before. And that terrified her most of all. The following morning, she woke to find breakfast waiting in her room. Fresh fruit, Korean dishes she didn't recognize, toast and eggs prepared perfectly. A note in sharp handwriting. Eat, you will need your strength. That was all, but still ate, because she was practical enough to know she needed energy to plan her escape. Except there was no escape. Security cameras everywhere. Men in black suits stationed at every exit. And when she ventured out of her room, she found Min-ho in the kitchen drinking coffee, looking unfairly handsome in a simple white shirt with sleeves rolled up. Sleep well? He asked, like this was normal, like she wasn't his prisoner. No. Honest, I like that. He gestured to the stool across from him. Sit, we should talk. She sat, keeping the marble island between them. About what? About us, about what this marriage will look like. He set down his coffee, giving her his full attention. I won't touch you unless you want me to. This can be as real or as fake as you choose. But in public, you smile. You play your part. You make everyone believe we're madly in love. Why? Because I have enemies who would use any perceived weakness against me. A wife shows stability, power. It closes certain doors that have been left open too long. His jaw tightened, and he hesitated for a second longer. And because there is another reason that makes all of this just rather convenient. My grandmother is dying. She wants to see me married before she goes. I would rather die than disappoint her. There it was, a crack in the armor. Amara leaned forward slightly. So, this is all for show, for business and a dying grandmother. Yes. But the way he looked at her suggested otherwise. Mostly. What's the other part? He smiled, that dangerous smile. I told you, you intrigue me, and I always keep what intrigues me. 3 days later, she married him in a private ceremony at a traditional Hanok house. She wore a dress that cost more than a car, white silk that hugged every curve. Min-ho wore a black suit that made him look like a dark prince. There were no guests except his grandmother, a tiny, fierce woman who looked at Amara with shrewd, knowing eyes, and a handful of his most trusted men. The ceremony was short. The kiss was shorter. But when Min-ho's lips brushed hers, something electric passed between them. His hand tightened on her waist, her breath caught, and for just a second, the whole world fell away. You are mine now, he whispered against her mouth, so quietly only she could hear. I hope you understand what that means. She didn't, but she would learn. Life as Mrs. Kang was nothing like she expected. Min-ho left early each morning and returned late, usually after midnight. But he always checked on her, always asked about her day, always made sure she had everything she needed. He was attentive in ways that confused her, considering their arrangement. A week after the wedding, she found him in his office at 2 a.m, surrounded by papers and looking exhausted. She had come for water and found his door open. "You should sleep," she said from the doorway. He looked up, surprise flickering across his features. "So should you." "Can't." She moved into the room slowly, like approaching a wild animal. "Still adjusting to all this?" "I imagine so." He leaned back in his chair, watching her with that intensity that made her pulse race. "It gets easier." "Does it?" She sat in the chair across from his desk. "Being married to a stranger? Living in a cage, pretending everything is fine. This isn't a cage, it's protection." "What's the difference?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "The difference is, I would never hurt you. Everyone else in this city would, given the chance." "Why?" "Because you are mine, and my enemies destroy everything I care about." He said it matter-of-factly, but something in his eyes burned. "That's why you can't leave without security. That's why you need to be careful. Not because I want to control you, but because I need you alive." Her heart did something complicated. "You don't even know me." "I'm learning," he smiled slightly. "You take your coffee with too much sugar. You read romance novels when you think no one's watching. You have a degree in art history, but couldn't find work, so you were taking cleaning jobs to survive. You are proud, stubborn, brave enough to marry a monster to save your own life. Should I continue?" She stared at him, heat creeping up her neck. "You have been watching me." "Of course I have. You are my wife." He stood, moving around the desk. "And before you get angry, understand this. Everything I do to protect what's mine. You're under my protection now, Amara. That means I need to know everything." He stopped in front of her chair, so close she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. This close, she could see the exhaustion in his face, the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his jaw. He looked like a man carrying the weight of an empire. "Go back to bed," he said softly. "I will be up soon." But she didn't move. "Do you regret it, forcing me to marry you?" His expression shifted into something raw and honest. "No. Do you?" She should say yes, should tell him she hated every second of this. But that would be a lie. "I don't know yet." "Fair enough." His hand came up, fingers brushing her cheek so gently it made her breath catch. "When you figure it out, let me know." The following week he took her shopping. Not because she asked, but because he decided she needed new clothes. They went to stores that didn't have prices on anything, where staff brought champagne and treated Min-ho like royalty. Every time Amara protested that something was too expensive, he gave her a look that silenced her immediately. "Money means nothing to me," he said, watching her try on a red dress that made her feel like a goddess. "But seeing you smile, that's worth every one." She blushed, turning away from the mirror. "You are doing it again." "Doing what?" "Saying things that make this feel real." He moved behind her, meeting her eyes in the mirror. His hands settled on her waist, burning through the fabric. "Who says it's not?" That night, he took her to dinner at a restaurant where they knew his name, where the chef came out personally to greet them. Min-ho pulled out her chair, ordered wine that probably cost more than her former rent, and spent the entire meal asking about her dreams, her family, her life before him. "Why are you doing this?" she asked finally. unable to take the confusion anymore. "Why are you being so kind?" "Because you're my wife. A wife you forced into marriage." "True." He didn't deny it, didn't apologize. "But that doesn't mean I can't try to make you happy. Maybe I'm selfish. Maybe I want you to choose to stay, even though you have no choice. Maybe." He paused, something vulnerable crossing his face. "Maybe I want you to look at me like I'm not a monster." Her throat tightened. "I don't think you're a monster." "You should." But he smiled, reaching across the table to take her hand. "You really should." 2 weeks into their marriage, everything changed. They were at a charity gala. Min-ho needed to be seen, needed to present the image of a successful, legitimate businessman. Amara wore black, diamonds at her throat that he'd clasped there himself, his hand lingering on her skin longer than necessary. "Stay close to me," he'd murmured before they entered the ballroom. "And if anyone makes you uncomfortable, you tell me immediately." She had nodded, not understanding why his jaw was so tight, why his hand on her back was almost possessive. She understood 30 minutes later when a man approached her at the bar. Handsome, charming, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You must be the famous Mrs. Kang," he said in perfect English. "I'm Lee Jin-woo, business associate of your husband's." Something about him made her skin crawl. "Nice to meet you." "The pleasure is mine." His gaze traveled down her body in a way that made her want to shower. "I have to say, Min-ho is a lucky man. You are even more beautiful than the rumors suggested." "Thank you." She glanced around, looking for Min-ho. He was across the room, deep in conversation with older men who looked important. "If you'll excuse me. One drink first." Jin-woo moved closer. "I'm curious about you. It's not every day a mafia boss marries a foreigner, especially one so—" His smile widened. "Curvy." Now she definitely needed to leave. "I really should get back to my husband. He is busy. Stay. Talk to me." His hand touched her arm, and everything happened very fast. 1 second, Jin-woo was smiling. The next, Min-ho was there. His hand locked around Jin-woo's wrist in a grip that made the other man wince. "Touch my wife again," Min-ho said quietly, voice dripping with lethal promise. "And I'll break every bone in your hand. Understand?" Jin-woo paled. "I didn't mean. Get out of my sight." Min-ho released him with a shove. Jin-woo practically ran. Then Min-ho turned to Amara, and the fury in his eyes stole her breath. "Did he hurt you?" "No. He just made me uncomfortable." "His name?" "He said Lee Jin-woo, but I know who he is." Min-ho's hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheek. "Are you okay?" She nodded, pulse racing from his proximity, from the barely controlled violence radiating off him. "I'm fine. You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." His other hand settled on her waist, pulling her against him. Around them, people were staring. He didn't care. "You're mine, Amara. Mine to protect. Mine to care for. Mine to—" He stopped, jaw clenching. "Let's go home." They left the gala early, Min-ho's hand never leaving the small of her back. In the car, tension crackled between them. She could feel his anger, could see it in the way his hands flexed, the way his jaw stayed tight. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I didn't mean to cause problems." "You didn't cause anything." He looked at her, eyes burning in the darkness. "He did, and he'll pay for it. Please don't hurt him because of me." Too late. But his hand found hers, fingers lacing through. "I warned you, Amara. I warned you what it meant to be mine. Now, you're starting to understand." Back at the penthouse, he poured himself a whiskey and stood at the window, staring out at the city. Amara watched him from the doorway, seeing the tension in every line of his body. "Why does it matter so much?" she asked. "If this marriage is just business, why do you care if someone flirts with me?" He was quiet for so long, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "Because somewhere between forcing you to marry me and watching you drink coffee in my kitchen, this stopped being just business." He turned, and the raw honesty in his face made her heart stutter. "You're supposed to be convenient, easy, a solution to a problem. Instead, you're all I think about. I check my phone constantly to see if you've texted. I come home early hoping to see you. I can't sleep unless I know you're safe down the hall. And tonight, when that bastard touched you, I wanted to kill him. Not for business, not for appearances, because the thought of anyone else's hands on you makes me insane." She couldn't breathe. "Min-ho!" "I know." He set down his glass, moving toward her with predatory grace. "I know this isn't what you signed up for. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But I need you to understand something." He stopped inches away, close enough that she could feel his heat. "You're not my prisoner anymore. You're not an obligation. You're mine, because I choose you. Every day, every moment. And I will burn down this entire city before I let anyone take you from me." Her hands came up, pressing against his chest. His heart thundered beneath her palm. "This is crazy." "I know. We barely know each other." "I know. You terrify me." "I know." His hands framed her face, tilting it up. "But you're still here. You're still looking at me like maybe, just maybe, you feel it too." God help her. She did. She felt it in the way her body responded to his nearness, in the way her heart raced when he smiled, in the way she'd started looking forward to his late-night returns. "This is a mistake," she whispered. "Probably." His thumb traced her lower lip. "Do you want me to stop?" She should say yes, should push him away, should remember that this man had forced her into marriage, had killed someone in front of her, was dangerous in every possible way. Instead, she whispered, "No." He kissed her then, and it wasn't gentle. It was desperate and hungry and full of weeks of tension. His hands tangled in her hair, his body pressing hers back against the wall. She gasped against his mouth, and he swallowed the sound, deepening the kiss until she couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't remember why this was wrong. "Amara," he groaned against her lips, "tell me to stop. Tell me you don't want this." But she couldn't, because want was burning through her like wildfire, consuming every rational thought. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and he groaned again, lifting her against him. Her legs wrapped around his waist instinctively, and then he was carrying her, kissing her, breathless, moving through the penthouse until they reached his bedroom. He laid her on his bed like she was something precious, something sacred. His hands shook slightly as they traced down her sides, over her curves. "You're so beautiful," he whispered, voice rough with need. "So perfect. I don't deserve you." "Probably not," she managed, breathless. "But you're stuck with me anyway." He smiled against her throat, kissing down her collarbone. "I can live with that." What happened next was a blur of sensation, of whispered words and desperate touches, of boundaries dissolving until there was nothing between them but heat and need. and something that felt dangerously close to love. When he finally made her his in every way, she clung to him, overwhelmed by the intensity of it, by how right it felt despite everything. Later, wrapped in his arms with moonlight streaming through the windows, reality crashed back. This was real. She'd just slept with her husband, her forced husband, the Mafia boss who'd threatened her life. What did that make her? His fingers traced lazy patterns on her shoulder, and she could feel him watching her. "Regrets?" he asked quietly. "Honestly, I don't know." "Fair enough." He pulled her closer, pressing a kiss to her temple. "For what it's worth, I don't regret a single second." She should stay, should talk about what this meant. But panic clawed up her throat. Panic at how easily she had given in, at how much she had wanted him, at the terrifying realization that she was starting to fall for her captor. So when his breathing evened out in sleep, she carefully extracted herself from his arms, dressed quietly, and slipped out of his room. Back in her own bedroom, she locked the door and sank onto the bed, heart racing. What had she done? This was supposed to be fake, supposed to be business. Instead, she'd just crossed a line she could never uncross. And the worst part, she wanted to do it again. The next morning, she woke to pounding on her door. "Amara," Min-ho's voice, rough with sleep and frustration. "Open the door!" She didn't move, couldn't face him yet. "I'm sleeping." "Liar, I can hear you breathing." A pause. "Please, open the door. We need to talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "Bullshit," more pounding. "You left, in the middle of the night, you left my bed and locked yourself away. If that doesn't require a conversation, I don't know what does." She pulled a pillow over her head. "Go away." "Not a chance," his voice softened. "Amara, please, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, we can work through it. Just open the door." But she couldn't, because if she opened that door, if she looked at him, she'd fall right back into his arms. And she needed to think, needed to figure out what she really wanted. "Later," she called out. "I need time." Silence. Then, "Fine, but I'm not giving up on you. On us. Whatever happened last night meant something. You can't hide from that forever." She heard his footsteps retreat, and only then did she let herself breathe. He was right. She couldn't hide forever, but she could hide for a little while longer. By the end of the week, avoiding Min-ho became impossible. He was everywhere. In the kitchen when she made breakfast, in the living room when she tried to read, leaving notes and small gifts that made her heart ache. Flowers, her favorite chocolate, books he thought she'd like. Each gift came with a simple note. Still waiting. Finally, she cornered him in his office. "You need to stop." He looked up from his computer, eyes lighting up at the sight of her. "Stop what?" "This, the gifts, the notes, the constant attention." "Why?" "Because it's confusing. Because I don't know what we are, or what you want, or—" She threw up her hands in frustration. "Because you're making this so much harder than it needs to be." He stood, moving around his desk. "What do you want it to be?" "I don't know." "Then let me tell you what I want." He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back. "I want you, not as a business arrangement, not as a convenient wife, as mine, fully and completely. I want to wake up next to you. I want to come home to you. I want everyone in this city to know that you chose me, that you're mine, because you want to be, not because I forced you." Her throat tightened. "That's not fair." "Nothing about us is fair," His hand cupped her cheek. "But it's real. What happened between us was real. And you running from it doesn't make it any less true." "I'm scared," she admitted, voice breaking. "I'm scared that I'm falling for you. I'm scared that this is Stockholm Syndrome or some twisted thing. I'm scared that you'll wake up one day and realize I'm not worth the trouble." "Amara." He pulled her against him, wrapping her in his arms. "You're worth burning down the world for, and I'm terrified too. Terrified that you'll leave. Terrified that someone will hurt you to get to me. Terrified that I'm not good enough for you, because let's face it, I'm not. But I'm also selfish enough not to care. You're mine, and I'm keeping you." She let herself sink into him, breathing in his scent, feeling safe for the first time in days. "This is insane." "Probably." He kissed the top of her head. "But we're doing it anyway." That afternoon, everything changed again. Min-ho had a meeting across town, and for once, Amara convinced him she'd be fine alone for a few hours. He left reluctantly, after triple-checking the security, and making her promise not to leave the penthouse. She promised, meaning it, planning to just relax with a book and some tea. She made it 2 hours before the power went out. Then the security cameras. Then her phone lost signal. She was heading for the panic button Min-ho had installed when the door to the penthouse exploded inward. Men in masks flooded in, 6 of them, moving with military precision. She ran for Min-ho's office, for the gun she knew he kept in his desk, but they were faster. Strong hands grabbed her. She screamed, fought, landed a few good hits before something pressed against her neck and the world went dark. When she woke, she was in a warehouse, different from the one where she'd first seen Min-ho, but just as terrifying. Her hands were zip-tied to a chair, her head pounded, and standing in front of her was Lee Jin-woo, the man from the gala, wearing a smile that promised pain. "Mrs. Kang," he said pleasantly, "so nice of you to join us." Terror spiked through her, but she forced herself to stay calm. "Min-ho will kill you for this." "Oh, I'm counting on him trying." Jin-woo crouched in front of her, that predatory smile widening. "See, your husband has been a thorn in my side for years. Always one step ahead, always untouchable. But everyone has a weakness, and you—" He reached out, fingers brushing her cheek. "You're his," she jerked away. "He will find me. Eventually. But by then, I'll have taken everything from him. Starting with you." He stood, nodding to his men. "Make sure she stays comfortable. We want her in perfect condition when Min-ho arrives. I want him to see exactly what he's about to lose." Min-ho knew something was wrong the moment he tried to call Amara, and the line went dead. Not busy, not disconnected, dead. His blood turned to ice. He was out of the meeting and in his car before his associates could finish their sentences, phone pressed to his ear as he called his head of security. "The penthouse, now. Full team. Something's wrong with Amara." He broke every traffic law getting back, his driver barely keeping the car on the road. His mind raced with possibilities, each worse than the last. She'd promised to stay inside, promised to be safe. But promises meant nothing if someone wanted her badly enough. And plenty of people wanted to hurt him. The penthouse door was blown open, hanging off its hinges. His security team was already there, securing the scene. Min-ho's world tilted when he saw the signs of struggle, the overturned furniture, the broken glass. "Where is she?" His voice came out deadly calm, the kind of calm that preceded violence. "Gone, sir. His head of security, Park, looked grim. 6 men, professional. They disabled everything. Cameras, alarms, communications. We have nothing. Find her. Min-ho's hands shook with barely controlled rage. I want every camera in a 10-block radius checked. I want street footage. I want witnesses. I want her location in the next hour, or everyone in this room is fired. And then, I'm burning this city down until I find who took her. Sir, we AEWs already. Park stopped at the look on Min-ho's face. We'll find her. Min-ho moved through the penthouse like a ghost, cataloguing every detail. Her book was open on the couch. Her tea was still warm. This had just happened. Minutes, not hours. He could still get to her. He had to get to her. Because if anything happened to Amara, if anyone hurt her, there wouldn't be enough of this city left standing to identify the ashes. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered, already knowing who it would be. Where is she? Min-ho, so good to hear your voice. Lee Jin-woo, that bastard. Min-ho was going to rip him apart with his bare hands. I have something of yours. Someone, rather. Beautiful wife you've got. Those curves. If you touch her, I will make your death last days. Temper, temper. Jin-woo laughed. She's fine, for now. But here's the thing, Min-ho. You've taken everything from me. My businesses, my territory, my reputation. So I'm going to take everything from you, starting with her. And you're going to watch. Name your terms. Oh, there are no terms. This isn't a negotiation. This is revenge. I'm going to hurt her in ways that will haunt you forever. And when I'm done, when she's broken and bleeding, I'll let you have what's left, if you can find us in time. The line went dead. Min-ho threw his phone so hard it shattered against the wall. Then he was moving, shouting orders, assembling his entire organization. Every soldier, every associate, every contact he had across Seoul was activated. He didn't care about subtlety, didn't care about exposure. All that mattered was finding Amara before Jin-woo made good on his threats. Boss? Park approached carefully, holding a tablet. We found something. Security footage from a building 3 blocks south. Black van, no plates, heading toward the industrial district. That's 50 warehouses. We're narrowing it down, cross-referencing properties Jin-woo has connections to, buildings that would provide the privacy he needs. We'll have a location soon. Not soon enough. But Min-ho studied the footage, memorizing every detail. Get me weapons, get me men, and get me a location in the next 20 minutes, or I start with Jin-woo's known properties and work my way through every building he's ever looked at. Back in the warehouse, Amara fought to stay calm. Jin-woo had left her alone for now, but she could hear voices, footsteps, the occasional burst of laughter. They were enjoying this, enjoying the knowledge that they had power over Korea's most feared Mafia boss. Her wrists were raw from the zip ties, her head throbbed, but her mind was clear. She'd seen enough movies, read enough books. She knew she had to stay smart, stay alert, look for any opportunity. The chair she was tied to was metal, bolted to the floor. The warehouse was mostly empty except for a few scattered crates. One window, high up on the far wall, too small to climb through, even if she could reach it. She tested the zip ties again, pulling, twisting. They didn't budge. Panic tried to claw its way up her throat, but she forced it down. Min-ho would come. She knew he would come. He'd burn down the entire city to find her. He'd said so himself. She just had to survive until he got here. The door opened. Jin-woo walked in, flanked by 2 of his men. "How are we doing, Mrs. Kang? Comfortable?" "Go to hell." "Feisty. I like that." He circled her chair slowly. "You know, I've been watching you. Ever since that gala. Watching how Min-ho looks at you. Like you're the only thing in the world that matters. It's disgusting, really. A man like him, brought low by a woman. By you. He's going to kill you." "Maybe, but first I'm going to make him suffer." Jin-woo stopped in front of her, pulling out a knife. Amara's breath caught, but he just used it to cut away her jacket, exposing her arms. "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. Not yet. But I need Min-ho to understand what he's losing. I need him to see you broken. He'll never stop hunting you." "I know." Jin-woo smiled. "That's the point. I want him obsessed. I want him consumed. I want him to watch his empire crumble because he was too focused on saving you. And when everything he's built is ashes, when he has nothing left, then I'll kill you both." One of Jin-woo's men spoke up. "Boss, we've got movement outside. Multiple vehicles." Jin-woo's smile widened. "Right on schedule. Our guest of honor has arrived." He looked back at Amara. "Let's give your husband a show, shall we?" Outside, Min-ho surveyed the warehouse with cold calculation. 15 of his best men surrounded him, armed and ready. Park had confirmed this was the location. Heat signatures inside, Jin-woo's car parked in back. Everything pointed to Amara being held here. Every second that passed was agony, knowing she was inside, knowing what could be happening to her. "We go in hard and fast," he told his men. "I want Jin-woo alive. Everyone else is expendable. But the woman, Mrs. Kang, she's the priority. Anyone who so much as looks at her wrong dies. Understood?" 15 heads nodded. Min-ho checked his gun, chambered a round, and felt the familiar cold calm of violence settle over him. This was what he was good at. This was who he'd always been. A killer, a monster, a man who destroyed anyone who threatened what was his. And Amara was his wife, his heart, his everything. "Move!" They hit the warehouse like a storm. Gunfire erupted immediately. Min-ho moved through it like a dancer, each shot precise, each movement economical. Jin-woo's men fell one by one. He didn't feel remorse, didn't feel anything, except the burning need to reach Amara, to see her alive, to hold her and never let go. He found her in the center room, tied to a chair, alive but terrified. Relief hit him so hard he almost staggered. Then he saw Jin-woo behind her, knife pressed to her throat, and rage consumed everything else. "Let her go!" "Or what?" Jin-woo pressed the knife harder. A thin line of blood appeared on Amara's throat. She whimpered, and Min-ho's world went red. "You'll shoot me. Go ahead, but this blade will open her throat before you can pull the trigger." "Min-ho," Amara whispered. "I'm okay. I'm—" "Quiet." Jin-woo jerked her head back. "You don't get to talk. You're just bait. Just a tool to break him." He smiled at Min-ho. "Look at you. The great Kang Min-ho, brought to his knees by a woman. It's pathetic. Name your price." Min-ho lowered his gun slightly, mind racing through options. "Whatever you want. Territory. Money. I'll leave Seoul entirely. Just let her go." "There is no price. Don't you understand? This isn't about money or power. This is about watching you suffer." Jin-woo's eyes gleamed with madness. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to watch me hurt her. You're going to watch her bleed. And you're going to remember that this is all your fault." The knife moved. Amara screamed, and Min-ho did the only thing he could. He shot, praying his aim was true, praying he wouldn't hit her. The bullet caught Jin-woo in the shoulder, spinning him away from Amara. Min-ho was moving before the man hit the ground, closing the distance in seconds, gun trained on Jin-woo's head. "Touch her again, and I'll make you beg for death." Jin-woo laughed, blood seeping through his shirt. "You can't kill me. You need me. I have information, contacts, resources. Kill me, and you'll never know who else is coming for her." Min-ho paused, hated that the bastard was right. Then Amara's voice, shaking but strong. "Min-ho, just get me out of here. Please." He looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the blood on her throat, the terror in her eyes, the way she was holding herself together by pure will, and he made his choice. He handed his gun to Park. "Take him, find out everything he knows, then kill him slowly." Then he was cutting Amara free, catching her as she collapsed into his arms. "I've got you. You're safe. I've got you." He held her so tight he was probably hurting her, but he couldn't make himself let go. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have protected you better. You came," she was crying into his chest, "you came for me. Always. I'll always come for you." He pulled back just enough to check her injuries. The cut on her throat was shallow, already clotting. Bruises on her wrists from the zip ties. But she was alive. She was whole. Thank God. "Let's go home." The next few days were a blur. Min-ho didn't leave her side. He slept in a chair by her bed when she finally crashed from exhaustion. He had doctors check her over despite her protests. He barely ate, barely spoke, just watched her with haunted eyes that said everything he couldn't put into words. "I'm fine," she told him on the third day, exasperated and touched in equal measure. "Min-ho, seriously, I'm okay. You need to sleep. You need to eat. You need to run your business." "My business can wait." He looked terrible, unshaven, rumpled, shadows under his eyes. "You almost died because of me, and because someone wanted to hurt me and used you to do it. I can't." His voice broke. "I can't stop seeing you in that chair. Can't stop thinking about what would have happened if I'd been 5 minutes later." She reached for his hand, lacing their fingers together. "But you weren't. You saved me. You came for me, just like you promised. And next time, there won't be a next time. You don't know that." He squeezed her hand almost desperately. "Jin-woo was right about one thing. You're my weakness. Every enemy I have now knows that if they want to hurt me, they go through you. I can't protect you from that. I can't keep you safe from a threat you can't see coming." "So, what are you saying?" Fear crept into her voice. "That we should end this? That I should leave?" "No." The word came out fierce, almost angry. "I'm saying I'm selfish. I'm saying I should let you go. Should send you somewhere safe, somewhere far from me and my world. But I can't. I need you too much. So instead, I'm going to teach you to protect yourself. I'm going to make sure you're never helpless again. And I'm going to eliminate every threat in this city until no one dares touch you." She stared at him, seeing the determination in his face, the love barely hidden beneath the guilt. "Min-ho! I love you." The words came out raw, like they'd been torn from somewhere deep inside him. "I know it's too soon. I know this started all wrong. But I love you, Amara. More than I've ever loved anything. More than my business. More than my reputation. More than my own life. And that terrifies me. Because if I lost you," he shook his head, "I'd burn the world down. I'd become the monster everyone thinks I am. Her throat tightened. I love you, too. His head snapped up. What? I love you. She smiled through tears. I tried not to. I tried to tell myself this was crazy, that I was confused, that it was just survival instinct. But it's not. It's real. You're real. This, she gestured between them, is real, and I'm not going anywhere. He kissed her then, desperate and tender, like she was air, and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never give up on us. No matter what happens, no matter how dangerous things get. Promise me you'll stay. I promise. She meant it with everything she had. I'm yours, Min-ho, for better or worse. In danger or in safety. I'm yours. And I'm yours. He kissed her again, softer this time. Always. The following week, Min-ho kept his word. He brought in a self-defense instructor who taught Amara how to fight, how to escape holds, how to use everyday objects as weapons. He taught her to shoot, made her practice until she could hit a target consistently. He showed her the panic buttons hidden throughout the penthouse, the safe rooms, the escape routes. I never want you to be helpless again, he told her during one training session, watching her practice knife defense. If someone comes for you, I want you to be able to fight back, to survive long enough for me to reach you. You make it sound like it's going to happen again. It might. He pulled her close, ignoring the instructor's presence. I have enemies, Amara, people who want to see me fall, and now they know my weakness. But I also have you. And you're stronger than any of them realize. She kissed him, not caring that they had an audience. We'll face them together. Together, he agreed. But even as they trained, even as Min-ho eliminated threats and consolidated power, something darker was brewing. Park came to him one night with information that made his blood run cold. Sir, we've been monitoring Jin Woo's communications before he died. He wasn't working alone. I know that. We've been tracking his associates. Not associates, backers, Park hesitated. He had financial support from someone high up, someone with resources and connections that go beyond the usual criminal networks. We don't have a name yet, but the money trail suggests someone with serious political or corporate power. Min-ho's jaw tightened. Keep digging! I want to know who's pulling strings. There's more. Park looked grim. We intercepted a communication, encrypted, but our tech guys cracked it. Someone is planning something big, multiple targets, multiple attacks, and one of those targets, he paused, is Mrs. Kang. When? We don't know. Could be days, could be weeks. But they're serious, boss. This isn't just one crazy enemy with a grudge. This is organized, funded, professional. Min-ho stood at the window, looking out at the city lights, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He'd known this would happen, known that loving Amara would paint a target on her back. But knowing and experiencing were two different things. Double her security. Triple it. I want eyes on her every second of every day. And find me that name. Find me who's behind this. Sir, maybe... Park stopped, clearly uncomfortable. Maybe it would be safer if Mrs. Kang left the country for a while, until we neutralize the threat. She won't go. Have you asked her? Min-ho turned, fixing Park with a look that could cut glass. Would you leave your wife if someone threatened her? Or would you stand and fight? I'd fight. So will she. So will we. Together. He grabbed his jacket. Where is she now? In the library, reading. Min-ho found her, curled up on the couch, book in hand, looking peaceful and beautiful, and everything he'd never known he wanted. She looked up when he entered, smiling that smile that always made his heart skip. Hey, done with your meeting? For now. He sat beside her, pulling her against him. How are you feeling? Good, strong, thanks to all that training you've been putting me through. She set aside her book, studying his face. What's wrong? Nothing. Liar. She touched his jaw, turning his face toward her. I can see it in your eyes. Something happened. He could lie. Should keep her in the dark to protect her from the fear. But that wasn't who they were. He'd promised her honesty, promised her partnership. There's someone else, someone bigger than Jin-woo. They're planning something. He watched the fear flash across her face, watched her process the information. Then, okay, what do we do? We're careful, we're smart, and we eliminate them before they can touch you. You mean before they can touch us? She took his hand. I'm not just your weakness, Min-ho. I'm your partner, your wife. So whatever's coming, we face it together. No more protecting me by keeping me in the dark. No more making decisions without me. We're a team. He loved her so much in that moment, it physically hurt. You're incredible, you know that. I learned from the best. She kissed him softly. Now tell me everything, every detail, every threat, and let's figure out how to destroy them together. So he did. He told her about the encrypted communications, about the money trail, about the planned attacks. They stayed up late into the night, planning, strategizing, preparing for whatever was coming. And when they finally went to bed, wrapped in each other's arms, Min-ho felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Because with Amara by his side, he could face anything. 2 weeks later, they got a break. Park burst into Min-ho's office, tablet in hand, expression somewhere between shock and rage. We found him, the backer, the one funding the attacks. Who? Choi Tae-sung, CEO of Taeyang Corporation, one of the richest men in Korea. Min-ho went very still. Choi, he was at my grandmother's funeral. He offered condolences. He's been planning this for months, maybe years. We found evidence of payments to Jin-woo going back before you even met Mrs. Kang. He's been trying to take you down, and when that didn't work, he decided to go after her. Why? Best we can tell, business rivalry that went personal. Your shipping operations cut into his market share. He lost millions, and instead of accepting the loss, he decided to destroy you. Min-ho's hands clenched into fists. Where is he now? That's the problem. Park's expression darkened. We don't know. He disappeared 3 days ago, left no trace, but his communication network is still active, which means he's still planning something. Min-ho stood, cold rage settling over him. Find him. Use every resource we have. I want Choi Tae-sung in front of me within 48 hours, and I want to know what he's planning. That evening, Min-ho held Amara tighter than usual. She sensed his tension, running her fingers through his hair soothingly. We'll figure it out. We'll stop him. I know, but his voice was tight. I just keep thinking. What if I'd never forced you into this marriage? You'd be safe right now. You'd be living your life, free and happy, instead of being hunted by my enemies. Stop. She pulled back to look at him. I wouldn't be safe. I'd be alone. I'd be working dead-end jobs, struggling to survive, probably being deported back to Nigeria. Instead, I'm here with you. I'm loved. I'm protected. I'm happy, Min-ho. Even with the danger, even with everything, I'm happy. Because I have you. You're too good for me. Probably, she smiled. But you're stuck with me anyway. He kissed her, trying to memorize everything about this moment. Her taste, her warmth, the way she fit perfectly in his arms. Because somewhere in the back of his mind, a voice whispered that this peace couldn't last, that the storm was coming, that everything he loved was about to be tested. He was right. 3 days later, Amara was shopping with her security detail at an upscale mall. Min-ho had meetings he couldn't avoid, but he'd made sure she had 5 guards, all armed, all trained. She'd protested the overkill, but he'd been adamant, so she'd gone, trying to maintain some semblance of normal life. She was looking at dresses when her phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. Look up. She did, scanning the mall. Nothing unusual, just shoppers, families, teenagers. Then her phone buzzed again. Your security is good, but not good enough. I have a sniper on the 3rd floor, 2 more at the exits, and a bomb in the parking garage. If you want everyone here to live, you'll come with me quietly. Her blood turned to ice. She glanced at her guards. They hadn't noticed anything wrong. She could alert them, could cause a scene. But if this person was telling the truth about the bomb, about the snipers, innocent people would die. She texted back, How do I know you're serious? Check your left, handbag store, woman in red. She looked. There was a woman in red examining bags, seeming normal, except she was wearing an earpiece. And when Amara looked closer, she saw the telltale bulge of a weapon under her jacket. Her phone buzzed again. Believe me now. Come to the East restroom. Alone. You have 2 minutes. Don't tell your guards, or everyone here dies. Amara's mind raced. She should tell her security. Should let them handle this. But images of the mall exploding, of innocent people dying, flooded her mind. She couldn't risk it. So she did the stupidest, bravest thing she'd ever done. She walked toward the East restroom, casually, like she just needed to use the facilities. Her guards started to follow, but she waved them off. I'm just going to the bathroom. Wait here. They hesitated but didn't argue. Bathrooms were secure. What could happen in 2 minutes? Everything, as it turned out. She pushed open the restroom door and immediately knew she'd made a mistake. A woman stood waiting, beautiful, cold-eyed, professionally dressed. Mrs. Kang, how good of you to cooperate. Who are you? Someone who wants your husband to suffer. The woman pulled out a gun, silencer already attached. Now, we're going to walk out the back entrance very calmly. If you scream, if you resist, I'll start shooting civilians. Understand? Amara nodded, mind frantically working through her options. She'd been trained for this, knew how to fight back, but not with a gun to her spine, and innocent lives at stake. So she walked, letting herself be led through back corridors and service hallways, away from her security, away from safety, away from Min-ho. They emerged in a loading bay, where a black car waited, engine running. Get in! Amara got in. The woman slid in beside her, gun never wavering. Drive, she told the driver. They pulled out into traffic, blending seamlessly with hundreds of other vehicles, and just like that, Amara was gone again. Back at the mall, her security realized something was wrong when she didn't emerge after 5 minutes. They checked the restroom, empty, checked security footage, showed her entering, but not leaving. Panic ensued, calls were made, and within minutes, Min-ho got the news that would bring his world crashing down. His wife was gone. Again. And this time, they had no leads. Min-ho stood in the penthouse, staring at his phone, willing it to ring. It had been 4 hours. 4 hours of searching, of mobilizing every resource, of tearing through the city looking for any sign of Amara. Nothing. She'd vanished like smoke. His phone finally buzzed. Video call. Unknown number. He answered immediately. The screen showed Amara, tied to a chair in what looked like an abandoned building. She was alive, conscious, defiant. Relief and rage warred inside him. Then Choi Tae-sung's face appeared on screen, smiling pleasantly. Kang Min-ho, we finally meet properly. If you hurt her, you'll what? Kill me? I'm already dead, Min-ho. Terminal cancer. 6 months, maybe less. Which means I have nothing to lose, and everything to gain by destroying you before I go. Min-ho's blood ran cold. A dying man was the most dangerous kind of enemy, one with no fear of consequences. What do you want? I want to watch you break. I want to take everything from you the way you took everything from me. My business, my reputation, my health. Yes, the stress of your competition contributed to my condition. So now I'm going to take your wife. I'm going to hurt her in ways that will haunt you forever. And you're going to watch. Name your terms. Money, territory, my life in exchange for hers. There are no terms. Choi's smile widened. This isn't a negotiation. This is an execution. Hers first, then yours. But I'm going to make it last. I'm going to make you suffer. Because that's what you deserve. The screen moved, showing Amara more clearly. She had a bruise forming on her cheek, but otherwise looked unharmed. When she spoke, her voice was steady, despite the fear in her eyes. Min-ho, don't give him what he wants. Don't. The screen cut to black. Min-ho stood frozen, phone gripped so tight it cracked. Around him, his men waited for orders, for direction, for anything. But all he could see was Amara's face. All he could hear was her voice. All he could feel was the cold certainty that he was about to lose the only thing that mattered. Find them, he said, voice empty of emotion. Find them, or I start killing everyone connected to Choi until someone talks. I don't care about collateral damage. I don't care about consequences. Find my wife. But even as he gave the orders, even as his entire organization mobilized, a terrible thought whispered through his mind. What if this time he was too late? The screen of his cracked phone suddenly lit up again. Another message. Just 2 words. She's pregnant. Min-ho's world stopped. Pregnant. Amara was pregnant, with his child, and Choi had her, had them both. The rage that consumed him then was unlike anything he'd ever felt. Pure, primal, absolute. He would burn down the entire world. He would tear through every building in Seoul. He would paint the streets red until he found her. But first, he needed a plan. And he needed it now. Because somewhere in this city, the woman he loved, the mother of his unborn child, was in the hands of a dying man with nothing to lose. And time was running out.